Welcome everyone to Superintendent's Corner. I'm Dr. David Clendening, and with me we have Mrs. Brown-Nally. She is in charge of assessments for our district, curriculum instruction at the elementary level, a lot of different jobs, and we're just so glad that she helps lead us. But today we're here to talk about something that's on the cutting edge, and that's assessments. The state of Indiana tries to continue to provide opportunities to measure how our students are doing. So Mrs. Nally's been watching that for us and has got some news for us.
Sure. It's not a very exciting topic, but one we feel is very important that we let our parents and community know about the changes that are coming this spring with the iStep for grades 3 through 8. In the past, iStep has measured what I would consider basic competencies in English, language arts, and math. And this year, this spring, to be in compliance with federal guidelines, we are amping it up quite a bit in this state with a much more rigorous test. So what does that really mean for your students? It means that where our schools have scored across the state in the 80s and 90% for English, language arts, and math pass rates, we are anticipating that to be much lower this year. We don't want that to be a surprise to you or to your students or to the community when your son or daughter may come home with a significantly lower score than in the past. It does not mean that they've learned any less this year. It just means that we are testing at a much more rigorous level of application than we ever have before.
I know we talked recently to the PTO presidents, and you had a couple different examples of test questions. Talk a little bit about what the test question is going to look like and how the kids are going to have to be able to draw information from multiple sources.
Sure. Students really have to be able to not only know and understand the information on the test, but apply it in different manners. An example of that would be in our previous iStep test for math. If a formula was needed for a particular problem, that formula was always listed with the question. And this year, what students will get is just a one sheet of paper that might have several different formulas or different transitions from fractions to percents or different theorems on it, and they have to be able to pull from that sheet and know when they have to apply that theory or that application to a particular math problem. So there are no more hints, there are no more little icons next to a math problem that would clue a student in that they might have to use a protractor or they might have to use a ruler for this particular problem. They will have to determine that on their own. And in the English language arts world, probably the major difference is the level of text complexity. Within a reading sample, there's much more informational text on our test than we've ever seen before. And in addition, there will be multiple texts students will have to read and draw from. An example of that would be a writing prompt. In the past, students had to read a very short paragraph, and they might get a question like, describe your most favorite day in the park. And they would write about that. Anybody could write about that. We could write about it without ever reading a thing. All of this has now changed to evidence-based writing. So students may have a newspaper article. They may have a transcript of a phone conversation. They may have a historical document that they will have to read and extrapolate all that information and then write to a writing prompt and cite evidence based upon those 2 or 3 different articles.
So it's definitely going to change the dynamics of the test. What's something mom and dad can do at home to help their son or daughter get ready?
Just encourage them to always do their best, obviously, in school. As it gets closer to the test, we don't want students to stress out or worry or be too concerned that test scores are going to drop this spring. But we just want them to come well-rested, well-fed, well-nourished, and well-prepared. Our teachers, this assessment aligns very closely with our new standards, which align very closely with our former Common Core standards. So our teachers have been teaching at this level for about 4 years. It's just we have never tested at this level, and that's going to take our students some time to get used to. So I think just listening to your student, if your student is anxious about the test, please let the teacher know ahead of time so that we can work with your student in the building as well to hopefully reduce any anxieties.
I was here thinking about my 4 boys, and one of the things that would be good for parents, that when you're talking to your kids around the dinner table or on a car ride and you ask them their opinion on something, ask them where they got that information. Begin thinking about gathering resources and being able to cite, because I think that's going to be the hard part. The other one is actually, how do we get the concepts onto the paper or onto the computer? And talk a little bit about what's going to be expected as far as keyboarding and writing. Are we going to be able to write anymore? Are we going to have to use all technology? What are you hearing from the state at this point?
iStep is still in 2 parts. The first, they're calling it iStep Part 1, which is the applied skills part, which is really where most of your long writing entries occur, or long math problems occur where you have to show step by step your problems. That is still occurring, and we are still able to take that paper pencil. I do believe there will come a time when, or the state is telling us there will be a time when that will be done electronic. So a quandary that puts us in is, when do we start teaching keyboarding skills? If 3rd graders are going to be expected to create at a keyboard, when do we start teaching those skills, and how do we fit that into our curriculum? But for now, we're paper pencil, and this spring will be paper pencil. Now for the second part of the test, iStep Part 2, that is all done on the computer. And there will be many more technology-enhanced questions that your student will see this year. And our teachers are practicing with your kids now some of those questions. They'll have to drop and drag. They'll have to do some matching. They'll have to just manipulate the computer in ways they've never had to before. And that is what our state is referring to as our college and career readiness items.
I think the state also provided opportunities for parents to see those, correct? And do we have that link to our website? Where can mom and dad see this new 2.0 iStep?
I think very soon we will have linked to our website and on Facebook and other types of social media. We are currently in the process of doing monthly little snippets of information, and the first one should be out in the next week or 2, I believe. And it talks about our new standards, and then we'll talk about the new tests and new expectations, and there will always be links there. I'll be honest, the Department of Ed website is really hard to maneuver around, so we've tried to cut through some of the stuff that they have and just pull out the important pieces for the parents. So look for that on our website, would probably be the easiest way to navigate to those sites.
And Mrs. Nally is our expert on this in this area. She's gone to several different workshops and seminars, and she's the one reaching out. So when new things happen, it's going to come out of her office. It's going to come, and she's going to keep our kids and our teachers and everybody informed. But we definitely want to make sure the community's informed. And I just think today the biggest thing is we are going to see scores go down. We know that. I know that you followed kind of Kentucky and New York and some of the other states. And what's happened to their scores?
Their scores initially dropped to anywhere between 40 to 60% passing their first year. And again, it goes back to not learning less, but just testing at a more rigorous level. So they have started to build upon those scores. Their students are getting used to testing at that level, understanding what questions are truly asking for, and so they're starting to see those scores rise. The standards are good. I think testing at this level is good. We want kids to be able to go out and apply the knowledge that they have. We just want to make sure we have prepared everybody for the dip, and so everyone understands that we're going to start low, but we will build up.
I would agree, and I think that's the key point that we are going to get back. I think Kentucky and New York are kind of near where they were before it all started. Just to demonstrate what the kids can do is something that we have to make sure that it's real time and real practice and application for us.
And if you go back to the beginning of iStep, when our students first started taking standardized tests, we were in the 60% and low 70%. So, and today we're in the high 80s and 90%. So a lot of it is just test-taking skills and practice.
And on those, our school goals and our district goals are 90% passing the assessments. And this next year, though, we did change a little bit. Talk a little bit about what that change was in the building level. So if a parent picks up a school improvement plan and they want to know about the assessments or whatever, what does that change look like in terms of the school improvement goal?
Because this year is a new test, we have no benchmark data from which to build. So instead of setting goals based on past data or past pass rates, we are setting our goals based upon the state averages, because the whole entire state will be affected by this change. So we looked at trend data based upon where we have been scoring in relation to the state average, and we set goals to maintain that same alignment. If we were above the state average by 5% in English language arts in a certain grade, we kept that same goal, to stay above the state average at 5%.
And that'll be probably the best way for parents to monitor how are we doing in the school as we continue to move towards good to great and all those different initiatives. We have 5 guiding principles. Individual student growth is a main one, and how we measure kids is our feedback for that. And so this is just one more way that we can monitor our kids. Any other closing comments to parents about the upcoming tests or assessments?
I don't think so. I just want to make sure parents understand that as educators, we are not all about the test. We are about your child, and we are about teaching to the whole child. This is just part of the game we have to play. So we don't have Superintendent's Corner about teaching to the whole child, but we just want to make sure parents are aware. We understand. We get it.
And I have 2 closing thoughts around that same thing. Number 1, reach out to your area representatives in the Senate and in the House at the state level, because education is a state responsibility. I know that Representative Price and Senator Walker also understand that we shouldn't just do assessments all the time. They're strong advocates for education. So reach out to them if you have a concern about that. That'd be a great first step. And the second thing I would say is, if you have any concerns or thoughts, contact Mrs. Nally. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page, all working together to share information about how to prepare kids, what does the score mean, and most importantly, are our kids going to be ready for the future? And that's really what it's all about, getting them ready for whatever future that they want to embark on. We want to make sure that we're doing that. So contact her as that point person if you have questions about curriculum, instruction, or assessment within our district. You've been watching Superintendent's Corner. Thank you. Have a great day.